We just got some breaking news. Chief Justice John Roberts of the United States Supreme Court delivers a win to President Trump on his ballroom at the White House. Right now, it is a giant hole next to the White House, but that could change, but only temporarily. We're going to have more on this in moments. And the big test. How powerful is the Trump endorsement? Is it powerful enough to get Senator Darlene Graham over the finish line in the special Republican primary runoff in South Carolina, or will her opponent, Congressman Ralph Norman, armed with the former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley's endorsement, get across that goal line instead? Trump is stumping for his endorsee, and in a few hours, Trump will hold a rally in South Carolina for Senator Darlene Graham. Early voting, by the way, ends in about 1 hour, and Tuesday is the big special election day when we will learn who will be the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate from South Carolina. And as you no doubt know, on Tuesday night, I moderated the debate between the two candidates. I had help from the former head of the South Carolina Republican Party, and he will join me to discuss this hot race in a moment. Plus, a reconciliation many thought not possible. In fact, the mere thought of it almost seemed crazy, but it happened.
I respect the fact that you recanted everything you said, and that's a big thing that you did. That's a very big thing.
That is the voice, of course, of President Trump speaking to his former lawyer and the key witness against him at his New York criminal trial, Michael Cohen. But did Cohen really recant? Did he recant everything? And what else came up between the two when they spoke on that radio show? Plus, the disturbing trial gripping the nation. Today, the defense rests its case in the Lindsay Clancy triple murder trial. She's accused of murdering her 3 young children. The facts are extremely difficult, and the jury has a big challenge in front of it after listening to weeks of evidence. We go inside the courtroom with someone who was there today. And a Michigan pastor, he's fed up.
America, we have lost this city. This is a city that is no longer up under American laws. We are up under Sharia law, and we will not have it anymore. Enough is enough.
That pastor will join us in a few moments. I'm Greta Van Susteren. This is The Record. In about 58 minutes, that's less than an hour, early voting ends in the South Carolina special election for Republican nominee for Senate. The next time to vote is on Tuesday, which is the runoff day, and tonight, President Trump heads to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That is where he will rally with Senator Darlene Graham, former chair of the South Carolina Republican Party and chair of the American Defense International, and who participated in Tuesday's debate with me asking questions. Van Hipp joins me. Nice to see you, Van.
Van, Greta, great to be with you. And I think we made some news, and I think the whole country is watching this Senate race in South Carolina right now.
I think the whole country is watching, and of course the Senate is so profoundly important. I don't think it's going to flip to the other party defendant, but if it does, with the balance of power so close in the Senate, this becomes so important. And what you say about making news, you're talking about the fact that Senator Darlene Graham said that she was not prepared to answer a question on Taiwan. But you know, it's interesting. While it consumed the media, early voting started the next morning, and I bet most of South Carolina Republicans probably weren't paying any attention, even if that made any difference to them.
Well, I've looked at these early numbers, and you're right, though, it closes in an hour. Usually, Greta, you have a drop-off in the runoff versus the primary. These numbers tell something else completely different. At this pace right now, we're looking at 105% turnout, meaning we're going to have more people voting in the runoff than we had the primary. What's really interesting, though, is to take a look at where these votes are coming from. Darlene Graham ran very strong along the coast, the 1st District, and Russell Fry, the congressman from the 7th, who President Trump is going in to host this event tonight in Myrtle Beach at 7 o'clock. Don't forget, he's the congressman that President Trump recruited to run against incumbent Tom Rice a few years ago in the 7th. But what's very interesting with the early vote, and this may explain why the president is going to Myrtle Beach right now, of all the congressional districts, the 7th congressional district is at the bottom in terms of turnout right now. And the 1st is down too. And of course, Mark Sanford came out today and endorsed Ralph Norman, and that's his old congressional district. Where is the heavy vote? It's in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. This could be a nail biter. And President Trump is popular in South Carolina. I actually moderated 2 national security town halls for him the 2016 cycle. He is loved in South Carolina, and we're going to see just how strong he can help get that turnout for her in the 7th district. I think it really comes down to that turnout in the 7th and district and along the coast for her right now.
All right, former Governor Nikki Haley endorsed Congressman Ralph Norman. And when she ran against President Trump for president, he endorsed her. I mean, if you had to take your pick, whose endorsement as a South Carolina candidate would you want more at this point?
There's no question you want a Donald
district?
Trump endorsement. Yeah, there's no question you want a Donald Trump endorsement in South Carolina. President is loved in the rural areas. But again, you know, South Carolinians are independent. Endorsements mean a lot, and this president's endorsement means a lot. But Greta, don't forget, South Carolina, this is the place where the folks turned the tide in the American Revolutionary War at the Battle of Cowpens and the Battle of Kings Mountain and chased the British all the way back to Yorktown. So there is an independent streak big time in South Carolina.
You know, you'd think that whoever wins on Tuesday, that's the end of the ball game. But there's actually going to be a general election in November. Well, it seems unlikely, although we've had so many surprises in elections, that the Democrat candidate would win. But who is it? I mean, it's like that person's just been invisible in the national debate. I assume not invisible in South Carolina. But can you tell me a little bit? I know you're former GOP chairman, but you must know who this person is.
Yeah, Dr. Annie Andrews, and she will be well funded by the National Democrats. I think this will be a competitive race, and Republicans are going to have to take it very seriously. She did run for Congress before against Nancy Mace, but the National Democrats see how tight this race is, and they're going to be hurt feelings on both sides. It's going to be important for the Republicans to unite and come around and support our nominee. But I think the Democrats see this as a potential for them. So I think they're going to put in significant resources in South Carolina. Republicans have got to take this general election very seriously.
All right, Nancy Mace, the congresswoman you just mentioned, she ran for governor. The Republican primary came in, I think she came in last, obviously, I think down about 10%, not particularly liked, at least in this, but for that job in South Carolina. She has endorsed Ralph Norman, now the congressman. And she's actually been, I don't know if she's endorsed it, but she has said some not so nice things about Senator Darlene Graham. Does this make any difference at all? Does Nancy Mace matter in South Carolina?
I don't think so. If it matters anywhere, it will be in Charleston. I think Sanford's endorsement is much more significant today. And again, her congressional district, that is Mark Sanford's old congressional district. So maybe that combination, because again, this is where Darlene Graham has got to win. She's got to win along the coast and in the low country. And she did very well there in the primary. And even in the 7th district, I'm talking Myrtle Beach, that area, this is Russell Fry country, but he did not win it as big as he needed to. That's why he's not in the runoff, and Ralph Norman is. She cut into him big time in his district. But right now, that's the district that is, in terms of early voting, is at the bottom of the 7 districts. President's team knows that. That's why he's there tonight. They've got to get her hope. She's got to have a big turnout in the 7th district.
Man, I appreciated doing that debate with you the other night. Thank you very much. And this is a hot race. And of course, we're going to follow the president to see how he does in Myrtle Beach tonight, because this rally is obviously a big deal one way or the other. Thank you, Van.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Nice to talk to you. Now it's time for our soundbite shuffle. Okay, put your phone down because we're going to scroll for you. Today, more attacks in the race for the Los Angeles mayor, but first, the attacks in the race for U.S. Senate in Texas is getting bitter.
Ken Paxton is anti-puppy, and I wish I was joking when I said that, but reports just came out revealing that as Attorney General, Ken Paxton protected a research lab that was notorious for torturing and killing hundreds of puppies.
In Texas, we value loving our neighbors. James Tallarico voted 3 times to protect child sex offenders and violent criminals over victims.
I'm running for mayor to control departments, to convene different jurisdictions, to bring the city and county together, not 4 years from now when I'm running for re-election, but on day 1.
Yeah,
just a year ago, this was one of the largest encampments in the city outside of Skid Row. More than 70 people at different times lived here. Fires, violence, there were propane tanks everywhere. And in one operation, we cleared this encampment. We got people housed. By the way, this area here is in Councilwoman Nithya Raman's district. The day of the operation, I was here. The councilwoman didn't even bother showing up.
El Sayed has brought in new energy and new talent into the Democratic Party, but also in Michigan itself.
I wish to take the word Democrat out of their name. I have no idea why the Democratic Socialists, if you hate the Democratic Party so much, well, then don't use our name. Go think of your own name.
Coming up, will Luigi Mangione be more fashionable in his next court appearance in New York? And why would I ask such a seemingly silly question? Find out when the record continues.
You're a proud American in the land of the free. But how do you feel about things right now? Are you thriving or just surviving? What's lifting you up? What's dragging you down? What issues matter to you most? Your voice and your vote is your power. Use that power and share your story with us. The voice of the voter. Newsmax is listening. Visit newsmax.com/voice of the voter.
When Saturday rolls around, I don't want to jump through hoops to watch college football. Good thing DirecTV makes it easy to keep up with my favorite college teams. No hopping between apps or channels.
Stream college football without the hurdles on DirecTV.
This is our time, you know? His favorite route is the long way around. Now we can take it again. I'm not sure who loves this freedom more, him or me.
Being out here alone is my happy place. Nature can have its threats, but I'm prepared.
I'm not trying to fight wildlife. I just don't want one bad encounter deciding everything.
Carry confidence wherever you go with Byrna. And now it's the biggest sale ever at Byrna.com.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that, no needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
We have an update alert, and it's a sad one. 31-year-old Connor Anderson, the Colorado man who vanished in Nashville, Tennessee, who we reported about, has been found dead. Anderson's body was found in the woods beside a parking lot near James Robertson's Parkway in Nashville. Police say there are no immediate indications of foul play. The last video known of Anderson is this video that you see on your screen that we showed you. He was reporting an incident to police. Here's that exchange.
I met these guys, and I asked them if they would show me their neighborhood. And he said yes. And he took $20 from me. He ended up getting another $20 from me. And then him and his friends acted like nothing happened, and then they threatened me with violence if I didn't leave.
Were you trying to buy drugs?
No.
My only advice to give you is that don't give money to strangers, okay?
Of course, I know.
Go out with friends or co-workers or a group of people, and don't go out by yourself, okay? Get to your place safely, okay?
I am.
Get an Uber.
I am. This is my last stop.
Anderson was in Nashville for work to attend the RE/MAX broker-owner conference. Meanwhile, today, the defense rested in the Lindsay Clancy murder trial in Massachusetts. Clancy is accused of killing her 3 children. Following the defense resting, prosecutors then called one rebuttal witness. Here's the rebuttal witness, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Avram Mack.
Her experience was that the voice was of a male, and it was loud.
And what did the voice say?
The voice said to the effect of, "You should kill the kids this is your last chance so that you can kill yourself.
And what did she say happened after she heard this voice?
She engaged in the activity of taking her children's lives.
Next week, lawyers are expected to deliver their closing arguments. And one more thing. If you go online, you'll see that more than $1 million has been raised for Lindsay Clancy in a GoFundMe campaign. Crime reporter and host of the John Depetro show, John Depetro, joins me. John, thank you for coming back in today. What was the point of the prosecution calling that particular witness? I assume there's more testimony than that, because that testimony would, just that little clip we played, would help the defendant.
He was actually very effective, Greta, and he examined a lot about Lindsay Clancy. He also basically said that she was depressed, but she did not exhibit a lot of the symptoms that you would think of someone that actually experienced psychosis, and explained why. He talked about when she said she was afraid she was going to lose her children. That was actually a rational reaction, not an irrational reaction. He was, so far, Greta, the most effective witness. And on top of that, when he finished his testimony, he said that he believes that she had the ability to be cognizant and tell right from wrong. As a result of that, Kevin Reddington, the defense attorney, this is the most explosive we've seen him. He went right after the doctor. It was sparring right until the end of the day. But this doctor, Dr. Mack, who was very thoughtful, very patient, made a lot of good remarks and sense. He seemed to be the most effective witness so far, the rebuttal witness for the Commonwealth. So this afternoon brought a lot of drama.
Did he actually examine her and talk to her, or is he just reading records?
No, he did. And he came away with a number of different things, talking about that she had never experienced a manic episode prior to this. He went through the whole range of what some of the conditions that she exhibited could have been. And one of the things that he talked about was this whole notion of be so uncommon for someone who exhibited no manic actions prior to this to then suddenly erupt in this. He also said that he talked to the hospital staff, and they said that the day after this happened, that Lindsay Clancy he told the staff she was horrified by her actions. So I don't think that clip, I mean, that's part of a clip he was on for quite a bit of time, but he actually made the case, Greta, that he does not believe that she was experiencing psychosis, definitely a form of depression. He came away with something that maybe she didn't want to live, and maybe she didn't want to live any longer, but this notion that somehow, God was telling her to do it, and then that she didn't know exactly what she was doing. I'm telling you, he had the attention of the jury, and he made a very compelling case.
And the significance is that whether or not if she had a psychosis, she couldn't appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct on a legal standard, which is why you say that versus depressed. But tell me this, summarize, we only have a minute left, what efforts before she murdered the children, did she make to get help, and what drugs was she on? What were prescribed for her?
He talked about that. He talked about, by the way, he also went through, she was on medications, but she wasn't on heavy medications as far as how much the quantity that was put out. Greta, the Commonwealth, they have portrayed a different picture, saying that she was doctor shopping. She was speaking to different psychiatrists. There were different people trying to help her, that maybe that she wasn't truthful with them, that maybe she didn't take their advice. So he seemed to indicate that, okay, maybe she was definitely suffering from depression, and someone who's, so groggy, they don't want to go to bed, they don't shower and things like that. But he also felt that there was a chance that she was going to come out of this. And then the behavior of her day, that final day, he said that did not fit the stereotype of what someone who's experienced psychosis, which was essentially a normal day. She's even ordering takeout. One more thing, Greta, that he mentioned was she was behaving normally in certain situations. She called the restaurant, she behaved normal. She took her daughter to a doctor's appointment that morning and behaved normally. She talked to CVS, the phone her prescription was acting normal. So there were times that her behavior that day was actually, perfectly within reason, and someone that was acting accordingly in society.
John, thank you. And I just want to make a note to the, I really appreciate the jurors who get selected for this, because this is a really tough case, and anyone who serves on a jury, I appreciate, because this is lousy work. Anyway, John Depetro, thank you, and I'll probably talk to you next week. Thank you.
Good to be with you, Greta.
Will accused murderer Luigi Mangione be a little more fashionable the next time he's in court? Well, fashion designer Marc Jacobs was asked if he would style the man accused of fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Here's that exchange.
Winona Ryder, Lil' Kim, and Courtney Love all wore Marc Jacobs to their respective court trials.
Yes.
Would you be open to styling this person for his trial?
Yes.
What kind of look would you style him in?
I think he looks pretty good the way he dresses, actually.
Wow, we live in strange times, don't we? But I guess we'll have to wait and see if Jacobs does style Mangione for his trial. His state trial has been delayed. It's now set to begin December 10th. Coming up, what in the world is going on in this video? We're going to explain that when the record continues.
It's our America. We built it. Courage, freedom. Millions go to Newsmax when they need to know. Start today on the free Newsmax app. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Did you hear about Shield, that test for colon cancer? No, what? It's just a blood test. No. Exactly.
Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield.
We all want more. More progress. More glory. More wins. But what we're really chasing is more life. Add more life to your years. Whoop, the official fitness wearable of the PGA Tour.
Clients who rolled over their IRAs 2 or 3 years ago have doubled and tripled their retirement accounts. Billionaire Eric Sprott disclosed he has invested 98% of his $3 billion fortune into gold and silver, and said gold's going to $10,000 an ounce. Vanguard and Goldman warned of a lost decade ahead for stocks. Gold's role isn't to make you rich, it's to help you survive what's coming. Aren't these supposed to be your golden years? Call Patriot Gold Group at 1-800-778-4156. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide, home of the America 250 no-fee for life IRA. Call now and see how easy it is to protect your IRA with physical gold and silver. Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
My dad had never been in better shape. Then he had a stroke and passed away. But he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still taking care of us. Ethos.com, 10 minutes, 100% online.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
People always ask me how I stay ready, how I lock in when it actually counts. They think I must be on something. It's pure, it's potent, it's all me. Something that never lets me down. Armra, I'm on it.
This is our time, you know? His favorite route is the long way around. Now we can take it again. I'm not sure who loves this freedom more, him or me.
Being out here alone is my happy place. Nature can have its threats, but I'm prepared.
I'm not trying to fight wildlife. I just don't want one bad encounter deciding everything.
Carry confidence wherever you go with Byrna. And now it's the biggest sale ever at Byrna.com.
This is rare to see in a murder trial, and it involves a horrific story. Earlier this week in Florida, this monster, Stephen Gress, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and kidnapping of a teenage girl. That's not what's rare. What is rare is that this guy, after his plea, asked to get the death penalty. He said in court, quote, "I'd rather do the lesser time than spend the next 53 years of my life behind bars," end quote. In 2025, Stephen Gress lured this girl, Miranda Corset. At the time, she was only 16. He found her on a dating app. He then picked her up and took her home. And that is where police say he and his partner abused her, and then they killed her. Next, they chopped her body with a chainsaw and threw her body parts in the trash. The accomplice to this man is this woman. Her name is Michelle Brandes. She has pleaded not guilty to murder and kidnapping. If she is convicted of these crimes, she could likewise face the death penalty. As for the other guy who wants the death penalty, he's asked the judge to handle his sentencing without a jury. We're going to see what the judge decides to do. As we mentioned, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, who told you at the top of the show, is allowing construction of the new White House ballroom to move forward. But for how long? And what do the other 8 justices have to say about that? And when will we hear from them? Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz, joins me. Nice to see you, sir. Your thought on Justice Roberts' decision to let the construction go forward despite the trial court judge's April injunction?
I'm not surprised. And based on my experience, when the Chief Justice issues an order like this in such an important case, or at least highly visible case, he generally makes the rounds of the other justices and makes sure he's not going to be overruled. So I suspect that this is a hint that the Supreme Court is not going to allow any kind of injunction against continuing the ballroom. Look, so many presidents have expanded the White House. The original White House was really tiny compared to the complex where it is now. And most of the changes have been improvements. You can argue with the taste. It's not the function of courts to stop the executive from deciding where the president should live. And so ultimately, this is a foolish case. The Supreme Court has better things to do.
It was announced July 31st, 2025. We're now on August 21st. It's 1 year, 21 days. You're probably talking to the only lawyer you will ever meet who has tried a case on latches, which means if you sit on your hands too long to file a case, as you lose it. I also lost my latches case. But this case was, they didn't file the case until 2 months after the destruction had already begun, after the hole was dug. So now we taxpayers have been sitting here for 1 year and 21 days with this stupid hole that's costing taxpayers a fortune, which also is making huge demands on Secret Service because nothing can go into that area without first being cleared, including construction trucks by the Secret Service. And the judges basically, they just, you know what, they just don't work. I mean, this injunction was issued in April by the trial court judge. We're now in August 21st. I mean, I think it's outrageous that these judges just take their old time.
Well, you know, judges think they're above the law, and they act as if they're God. And the idea, this is laches on steroids, because laches generally just involves time. Here you had reliance. You had buildings being built, holes being made before any lawsuit was filed. So I think this lawsuit is destined for the circular file. I don't think we're going to see the third branch of government stop the first and second branches of government from deciding what kind of buildings they're going to live in. You know, the courts have just gotten out of their lane. They, particularly with the Trump administration, these courts have gotten into so many areas that they shouldn't be getting into. Case and controversy is what is the governing constitutional standard for whether a court gets involved in a case. The framers of the Constitution, which saw the Supreme Court as a limited institution, would be turning over in their grave if they saw a judge in Washington saying, no, you can't build, leave the hole the way it is, you know, let the taxpayers continue to pay. This is an absurd misuse of judicial authority, and I think we're getting a hint from the Chief Justice that he gets that, and he's not going to stop this from going forward.
Well, the lawyers are, I think, I would say they're lazy. You and I worked weekends. They didn't have to wait so long. That's the latches. They could have done this. They could, right when Trump announced it, we all knew what the plans were a year and 21 days ago. Then you've got Judge Richard Leon from December until April, dragging it out himself. I don't know what he was doing, but judges can work weekends too to get these decisions, because this is very expensive to the taxpayers. It's not just a battle between the president and the plaintiff in this case. This has cost the taxpayers a bloody fortune because people just don't do their jobs. They won't move on it.
And the president is right when he says he's been to many capitals. I've been to many capitals. I've been to many equivalences of White Houses in Europe and in Asia. And our White House didn't compare in grandeur to some of the others. And we're the most important country in the world. And I think President Trump was right to say we have to make the White House the best and most important and most beautiful capital residence for a president or a prime minister of any in the world. So I'm on his side on the merits. But more importantly, I'm against the courts interfering in cases like this. We have checks and balances, separation of powers, and the Supreme Court is supposed to be the least dangerous branch, the judiciary, and they are becoming one of the most dangerous and activist branches. And as somebody who has objected to that, even when the shoe is on the other foot, I will continue to object, whether it's a Republican-dominated court or a Democrat-dominated court. Stay in your lane. Do what judges are supposed to do. And don't try to run the country.
And I think a lot of people just don't like Trump, so they complain as though he's going to pick up the ballroom and take it to Mar-a-Lago when he leaves office, that it's left for the future. It's just so crazy. Anyway, I got to go. Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Meanwhile, in Florida, there's a unique academy. Its teachers are cops, and its students aren't cops. Its class as well. See for yourself. And a quick warning, the video might startle you. That chaos was a simulation of a mass shooting. It was part of a 6-week civilian academy program. The Highland County Sheriff's Office hosts the program. In the simulation, there were training guns that obviously fired blanks, but nearby devices blasted gunfire noises. In the lesson, the sheriffs were instructing the students how to handle the chaos of a real-life shooting and how to neutralize an attacker. So, did the students pass the class? The sheriffs didn't post their grades. Coming up, burying the hatchet. I never saw this one coming. Maybe you did. But the reconciliation between President Trump and former loyalist turned enemy, and we have this on tape. That one, the record continues.
All across the nation, people can't stop talking about Carl Higbie and Frontline for the big news they need to know. Watch Carl Higbie, Frontline, tonight at 6 p.m. only on Newsmax.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drew. Our cells oxidize, and fatty 15 reduces that risk. C15 is the longevity nutrient. I take this nutrient, my family takes the nutrients, you should too. Fatty 15 has benefits that people actually see and feel.
Where's the admission desk at your hospital? You may need it sooner than you think. It's the middle of the night, and you, your spouse, or your child is sick, high fever, can't keep anything down, and getting worse. Now you're waiting in the ER, and everyone gets seen before you. And when I finally see you and order prescriptions, you still have to wait for your pharmacy to open and hope they have what I prescribed. This is the medical emergency kit. It's stocked with essential medications, including amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak, and ivermectin. Now you have the right medications when you need them. And it's why I and so many of my colleagues have medical emergency kits. It's like having an urgent care and pharmacy in your home. Just fill out a brief online medical intake and your kit, prescribed by a licensed provider, is shipped to your door. Here's how to order.
Order your kit now and save $45. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news. That's urgentcarekit.com/news.
Honey, Mortgage Money 6 says we should keep renting.
Mortgage Money 6?
Reba says more realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. They track every market so you know when to make your move.
He also says that Bigfoot... Got it.
Make it real with Realtor.com.
See you Sunday, Jim. Whoa! Delivery!
Thanks, Kurt.
You like that? See you Sunday, Jim.
Sunday.
See you Sunday. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
I just got my pilot's license. See you Sunday.
The whole town can feel it. Sunday's coming.
The NFL on CBS, streaming all season on Paramount Plus.
See you Sunday.
That's my boy Cam Skydmove.
Whoa!
Meet Andrew from the Zebra. Andrew stays up all night, watching the Zebra find people's savings. The Zebra monitors your insurance and informs you of savings the moment we find it. Nobody does insurance like the Zebra.
Hi, I'm Mike Hammond with Signal Relief. If your back bothers you day after day, you know it doesn't just affect your back. It changes how you stand, walk, sleep, and how you feel about yourself. Maybe you smile through the grandkids' game, the grocery store, the yard work, or the family trip, quietly counting the minutes until you must sit down, or maybe you just miss those moments altogether. I know how frustrating it is when your body starts making decisions for you. And that's why I'm proud to introduce Signal Core, our new back support system built specifically for everyday backaches. More technology means more relief, and Signal Core has twice the technology as the original patch, and it comes with our money-back guarantee. It's targeted drug-free back support that you can wear through the day. Try Signal Core today by going to signalrelief.com and order your Signal Core.
You have to admit this is odd. Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, testified against Trump in Trump's criminal trial in New York, and President Trump having a public reunion where, on Michael Cohen's radio show, Trump was his guest. Cohen, the president's former fixer-turned-enemy, certainly changed his tune in his interview with the president, and the president reciprocated. Here's part of their conversation.
So you and I have obviously traveled a pretty rocky road together. You remember, do you remember, sir, when I went on CNN with Breonna Keeler and she told me that you were underwater in the polls, and I responded with those famous two words, says who, which became some worldwide meme.
And good advocate, and then they weaponized you like nobody's ever been weaponized, like few have been.
Well, maybe just you and I, sir.
And you, yeah, me too, but I don't consider mine, mine was at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp joins me. Well,
that was just surreal. And I read a lot about it, too. The cynical people are saying that Michael Cohen is desperately searching for a presidential pardon for his federal crimes. And also, Trump is the news. He's the story. Whether you're on the left attacking him with TDS or whether you're on the right supporting him and pushing his agenda, he is in the middle of every political story. And Michael Cohen is launching this radio show, I guess that's what it is. And who wouldn't want President Trump as a guest?
he didn't recant. I mean, it's like if you go back through it, Trump says he recanted. He's squirrely. Michael Cohen. The guy, guy's been disbarred. The guy's told different stories. He's testified against Trump. But he hasn't recanted. He hasn't. He just said that he got pressured by the prosecutor, whatever that means.
I had several people in Washington, D.C. over the decades tell me they were someone's fixer. When someone says they're someone's fixer, it always kind of makes one eyebrow go up. Like, what does that mean? Like, you do the dirty work for a famous person? I don't really know what that means. I think it's tawdry. If Michael Cohen was some kind of a lawyer, I don't know to the extent to which he did anything that was like redemptive or meaningful. That being said, there are a lot of people like him out there who try to facilitate for important people, for wealthy people, for political people. There are some kinds called hanger-oners, right? They kind of hang around the power. Yeah, I'm glad that he's basically trying to make a friendship again with Trump. He never should have turned on him.
I actually, to claim that he was, quote, pressured by the prosecution, the guy's a lawyer. I can't, is he that weak?
Well, Greta, my take on this situation is that Michael Cohen played in this game, but he wasn't on solid footing because of his business setup. And so they had the goods on him, and they were either going to prosecute him on his kind of like philandering business deals or
or pick Trump.
He was going to talk.
Or he's going to spin on Trump. But I can't get over the fact that he wrote a book. I think what the title was, Revenge or something. I've got it written down. He wrote, I think, Revenge was the name of his book. And I can't, in 2022, how Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critics. And I cannot believe a prosecutor would ever use that as a key witness, someone who said that. I mean, prosecutor has some obligation to justice as well.
Well, he talks about lying in that book too, and he was obviously essentially
but they hated
prosecuted
Trump so
for
much.
perjury.
They hated Trump so much that they were going to do that, and they got a jury to convict him. They got a good forum, and that's what they achieved. And now Trump is now apparently accepting him back in the fold, and I don't get this.
Well, we'll see, right? The story has yet to be fully played out. I will say this. I think we do need criminal justice reform in this country. I think it's wrong how prosecutors sometimes take people who are vulnerable, made mistakes, and they squeeze them to essentially, you might say, sometimes do whatever they can to help the prosecution, even when maybe it's not on the up and up.
I don't know how you reform justice, and oftentimes, I mean, Mother Teresa usually isn't involved in things to get her as a witness. I mean, the prosecution's witnesses are not typically people, who have done no wrong themselves. I mean, or they wouldn't know other people.
Well, I guess it's kind of like chicken or egg. Is it like there are people who are caught up in a scandal or legal controversy who also have an uneven record? Or is it the uneven record that attracts the prosecutor to squeeze them so that they can get them to win a case that might be harder to win? I'm not sure which one it is.
But you know what, Matt? In prosecutorial discretion comes prosecutorial judgment. And when you take a guy like Michael Cohen and put him up as a witness against President Trump, knowing that you've got probably a very happy, you got a good environment for the New York jury, and this guy's got such a checkered past. He's written a book on revenge, but in your judgment, you think it's worth it to try to convict the former president of the United States. I think that's bad judgment on the part of the prosecutor.
It is, and it also just shows that we have a real sickness with blue-red, which is, that justice should be colorblind, and instead, you got red state justice and you got blue state justice. And in America, if that's the way it's going to be, we don't have a very good future.
Matt Schlapp, always nice to see you. Thank you.
You too, Greta.
Another setback for Prince Harry. He and his family are packing their bags in California. They're moving to the United Kingdom, but Harry got some bad news today. A UK High Court judge ordered Harry and 6 other high-profile figures to pay $13 million to the Daily Mail. Why? To cover the legal fees from a July case the group brought and lost against the Daily Mail. The case involved unlawful information gathering tactics. Harry and his fellow claimants now have 7 days to make the $13 million payment, but get this, the $13 million is only part of the sum owed to the UK publisher and not the total. It is not known what the total figure will be. Coming up, a pastor in Michigan is fed up. Why? He'll tell you himself. He joins me next. That when the record continues.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
LeafGuard has earned the Good Housekeeping seal for over 20 years and has been lab tested to handle up to 32 inches of rainfall an hour. Don't deal with those old gutters any longer. Get LeafGuard, the only seamless one-piece rainwater management system with a clog-free guarantee and lifetime transferable warranty. It's LeafGuard's Celebrate America sale. 75% off installation of a complete LeafGuard system. You'll receive a bonus, a $250 Visa gift card with your LeafGuard purchase. Act now and get no interest and no payments until 2028. Remember, with LeafGuard, the top's not a cover, it's part of the gutter. Call now to have a nice gift for you. A free $100 Visa gift card with your free in-home estimate. Call 800-541-1274. Now, let me give you that number again. 1-800-541-1274.
The LeafGuard system has blown away our initial expectations.
I love the fact my LeafGuard gutters are low maintenance.
I'm a happy LeafGuard customer.
Who wants to be on a ladder this summer cleaning clogged gutters? I mean, let's face it, they can be a fire hazard in drier conditions. All it takes is one spark. That's why homeowners choose LeafGuard, the gutter that never clogs, guaranteed. It's our Celebrate America sale, 75% off installation of a complete Leaf Guard system. You'll receive a bonus, a $250 Visa gift card with purchase. Act now and get no interest and no payments until 2028. This can come in handy when you fill up at the pump, a free $100 Visa gift card with your free in-home estimate. Call 800-541-1274. Now let me give you that number again, 1-800-541-1274.
This is our time, you know? His favorite route is the long way around. Now we can take it again. I'm not sure who loves this freedom more, him or me.
Being out here alone is my happy place. Nature can have its threats, but I'm prepared.
I'm not trying to fight wildlife. I just don't want one bad encounter deciding everything.
Carry confidence wherever you go with Byrna. And now it's the biggest sale ever at Byrna.com.
When Saturday rolls around, I don't want to jump through hoops to watch college football. Good thing DirecTV makes it easy to keep up with my favorite college teams. No hopping between apps or channels.
Stream college football without the hurdles on DirecTV.
Earlier this week in Dearborn, Michigan, religious tensions erupted at a city council meeting. The population of Dearborn is a Muslim majority. Here's Pastor Lorenzo Sewell speaking to city leaders.
You have seen what has happened in this city, and it is my people that have funded you. It's my people that made sure that you have what you have, and you spit on us, you degrade us, but you're only 1% of this nation. We are not a nation of Muslims. We are a nation of Christians. We are one nation under God, indivisible. America, we have lost this city. This is a city that is no longer up under American laws. We are up under Sharia law, and we will not have it anymore. Enough is enough.
Senior pastor of 180 Church in Detroit, Pastor Lorenzo Sewell, joins me. Nice to see you, sir. And what prompted you to go and speak to like this?
The city of Detroit is a city that has approximately 700,000 Black Americans. We are the largest voting bloc in Michigan. We had 2 congressional districts, but the Democrats, they cut us out and they put in Rashida Tlaib. And now she is an Islamic jihadist who literally is raising up men like Abdul El-Sayed, men who hate our country, men who, quite frankly, are looking to decimate and destroy this nation. When Jake Lang was punched for saying that Jesus Christ is king over Dearborn, when that happened, we knew that we were no longer up under American laws in terms of the First Amendment. We knew that we had gone into a new law, Sharia law. And I wanted to confront the city council because I wanted to hear them say it out of their own mouths.
You know, I'm sorry, sir. I need to interrupt you. I need to interrupt for 1 second. The president is taking questions. I hate to do this to you, but he's taking questions.
Well, no, all she was is being honest. She's very smart, and she was being honest. I mean, she's into the price of groceries, the price of food, the price of beef, and it hasn't been her thing, but she's surrounded by very good people. And she said that she's totally for the military. I mean, she's going to do what the military wants and really what the president wants. She understands that national security is my thing. And she is a terrific woman who answered. I watched that. I thought it was a very honest answer, actually. Hello? Yeah.
Will be used in the construction of the ballroom?
You know, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the ballroom, and it's all from people like me and great companies that are putting it up. It's going to be close to $400 million, and it's all paid for by patriots and patriotic companies, big companies. I'll name the companies probably over the next couple of weeks, but I want to ask if they mind. And really, most of them have said you could use my name gladly. So that's all money, no taxpayer money for the ballroom at all.
Did you direct Secretary Besson to intervene in the bond market? Was
No,
that your idea?
not at all. No, he's a very capable man. He wanted to do it. He's very good at it. He has a good touch, very good natural touch for the bonds and interest. And He did that, yeah.
The yields have come back up since then. Have you talked to him about another type of intervention? Is that something he will be
We
doing?
have many types of intervention. That's one. The ultimate intervention is our military. And if we have to use that, we will, yeah.
The move on beef imports is upsetting some ranchers, as well as some Republicans are asking you to delay that move on imports.
Well, we want to get the beef prices down, so we'll get them down a little bit. And that's what people want, that's what the voters want, and that's what I want. The ranchers are great. They're my people. I love the ranchers. They've done a fantastic job, but they admit that we need a little help and in order to get the prices down. So that's what we're doing.
Which countries did you arrange?
Sorry, you got it. We're hearing that MAGA Inc. is going to start spending your war chest. What races are you putting money into, sir?
Well, I've raised a lot, and nobody knows what it is, but I will tell you it's about $850 million. And I'll be spending a lot of that money and my own money, but I'll be spending a lot of that money for candidates that I think are good, Republican candidates that I think are good. So when you add the $850 million to all of the other money that we've raised, we're in very good shape.
Mr. President, there are several Republicans who are running for midterms this year who are starting to come out against AI data centers. Why do you think they're taking a different approach than you
Who are they, you know?
The Senate race in Ohio is one example where it's become a very hot topic.
Well, the data center subject to me is a pretty simple one. If you pick the right location, and it's got to be, not every location is perfect for it, but you pick the right location, what it means for a community is jobs and lots of money and lower taxes. And the data centers now are mandated by me that they build their own electricity, so they're not taking it from the grid. It's going to lower the electric cost because they're building electricity, and the extra, as an example, we talked about this once. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. They're going to build their own electric producing facility, and that electricity that they have left over is going to the grid. It's going to lower the cost of electricity. So if I were a community, I would want the data center. It means jobs, it means income, and it means lower taxes.
Do you want Republican candidates to take the same AI, to take the same message on data
No,
centers?
I want them to do what they want. Some people feel differently. I really want them. If a Republican's against the data center, that's okay with me. I'm only saying that if I ran a community, now there are different types of communities, but generally speaking, if I ran a community, if I was a mayor or if I was a governor in the state, I would want to have the data centers because they bring tremendous income. They're clean. They produce their own energy. The new ones are producing their own energy. I would want to have data centers.
Mr. President, national debt, as you know, it surpassed $40 trillion. Have you been discussing what to do about that?
Well, I have, and there's been a problem for 35 years. And what we have now that we've never had before, we had a pretty good piece of it in my first term, as you know, is we have tremendous growth. And the way you take care of debt is with growth. And we have tremendous growth. We've never had growth like we have right now. The growth will take care of that very easily.
Mr. President, 700.
Question about it.
Mr. President, on the beef deal, which countries did you make that deal with? What are the sources
Which
of
deal?
the beef deal?
I don't want to say which countries, but there are a few countries. But they're going to be sending in the highest quality beef, and it's something that we need. What else? By the way, are we going to miss Caroline? I'm going to miss her. Let me have that. Let me have that. So here are some headlines in Caroline. I got to stand next to her. I feel so good with her. These are incredible headlines that just came out over the last 24 hours. It's probably easier if I show them to you than reading them. But basically, the biggest refunds ever given on taxes. That's big. Trump bump. Tax refunds jumped 17%. American tax refunds increased by $43 billion. That's money that the government is giving back to the people. $43 billion. FBI had the biggest violent crime drop in 90 years. These are today's headlines. Trump administration marks 15 straight months with zero border releases as apprehensions plunge. So they've never had anything like that. So you had 15 months with zero people going through our border. I don't even know how that's possible, but they're doing a good job. Maybe you, maybe
Scott
you.
Jennings, sir.
Scott Jennings is good. That one right there, my friend from Iowa. But I don't know, maybe she doesn't want it. I don't know, maybe Margot. What do you think of Margot? Maybe Margot. Let's see, who do we have in this group? I will tell you this, and Caroline will tell you this. I have never had so many job applications in my life.
Yes, sir.
They all want that job. They love that job. She's made that job very glamorous.
Shifting economic work there towards Iran, does that indicate that the military options in the region for the U.S. are limited?
No, not at all. It just means that we're seeing what happens. They have no money. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They are not paying their soldiers. They're not paying their police. They have 350% inflation. So we're just going to sort of see what happens. And we have total control, as you know, of the border. We have total control. If you look at the blockade, we have total control of that entire region having to do with the Strait of Hormuz. And that means well into it, the land areas. So they would love to make a deal, but they're not ready to make the right deal, in my opinion. Yeah.
For Canada, have you come to a deal there?
Pretty much, I think so. We'll see. I've dealt with the Prime Minister, have a good relationship. And yeah, we have to take care of our farmers. The farmers are very important to me. And the deal with Canada is moving along, and we should be able to have a deal with Canada. We're also starting on a new deal with Mexico. A much better deal for the United States. I only make good deals. Much better deal for the United States, both with Canada and Mexico. Thank you very much.
President, did you direct Edwards to resign, sir?
And of course, it's President Trump answering questions before he heads to South Carolina to rally with Senator Darlene Graham. Meanwhile, there's new controversy about surveillance cameras. They are called flock cameras. They are license plate readers. They track vehicles tied to investigations, but they have popped up in many cities. Many Americans are not happy about it.
Flock cameras in Wisconsin, they're finding out the hard way. Look what I just stumbled upon.
I believe that Flock right now is one of the most hated companies in America. They are one of the most corrupt companies in America.
And the system facilitates uses of that information in ways that makes us all essentially pre-criminals.
Flock cameras, bro. I hate those things.
Okay, that's some of the opposition, but over in San Diego at a city council, someone voiced his support.
The Emperor is a fan of Flock, and we must continue utilizing Flock technologies so that we can follow and surveil the rebel scum as they move from playground to playground. This technology will help us find the rebel scum and their hidden base on Hoth. This technology will help us find Luke Skywalker.
Obviously, the person in costume is joking. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Ed Henry, The Big Take, is next. Stay with Newsmax.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.